What's going on, YouTube? We're back at it for another Back for Blood deck build video. Today we're talking about the Combat Knife Melee DPS Tank deck. Now, in my previous video with the Melee Healer deck, had a couple of people comment down below talking about the Combat Knife being a bit overpowered, a bit more damage, and a little less stamina used when it came to other melee weapons. And there's a couple of things we need to talk about before we get into this deck when it comes to the Combat Knife. You know, there's pros and cons, there's trade-offs to using this, and there's a different playstyle that you really need to utilize when it comes to trying to get the most effectiveness out of the Combat Knife itself. Seen more than a few videos on people trying to make hybrid builds with the Combat Knife mixed with DPS or support. In my personal opinion, I've even tested it myself trying to make my own combination of it, and it just never really quite hit the mark. And in a lot of those videos, they really don't talk about the pros and cons and that trade-off of using the Combat Knife compared to that of the regular melee. My personal opinion, the reason I've never used Combat Knife is the simple fact that I feel like the regular melee is a whole lot stronger. That ability to stumble back some of those enemies in some of those clutch moments can just save your life more ways than one. And the Combat Knife, without having that ability and just being a single target killer, can get to be one of those problematic instances where you take more damage than you're getting back from the healing possibility of it. And it's just not going to be clearing crowds as effectively as you possibly want without throwing in a lot of different cards. Especially for a hybrid build, you could be eating away at your DPS quite largely in order to compensate and try to get that to be something that would be effective with a DPS build. Which is why this is probably the only deck that I'd ever use with the Combat Knife. It is full on tanky. It's got all the melee cards that could possibly benefit that Combat Knife, and it does get quite overpowered with this, especially when it comes to Special Infected. I was quite surprised by it, taking down some tall boys pretty quickly, and that damage is pretty real with it as long as you have the right cards stacked on top of it, because the base damage with it, you're definitely not going to be eating through some Special Infected, but Common Infected, pretty much all of them, even with those Corruption cards increasing their health, going to be a one-shot. Now, one of the big things someone was telling me was that Combat Knife is going to be using less stamina with melee weapons. Not actually the case. It's going to be utilizing the same amount of stamina as the machete or the hatchet. Now, with the baseball bat and the fire axe, they will be using more stamina, but at the same point, when it's coming down to that machete and hatchet, very same amount of stamina used as the Combat Knife. Tested it out myself while running this build, and it is confirmed. It's only 10 stamina per swing. Now, that being said, if you've got some heal or melee stamina efficiency, that's going to make it a little bit lower, but it does not affect it in a larger way when it comes to the Combat Knife. Now, the Combat Knife is going to be a single target killer, whereas with the machete and the hatchet, they will have that ability to hit more than one enemy with swing, or with one swing. Losing my voice a bit here. Hold on. But with the Combat Knife, you will have a slightly increase to swings per minute. Not so much that it's really going to make it that much stronger than the other two weapons, but it is there by a small margin. And the Combat Knife will come into the game with a stronger damage rating than that of those gray weapons, being the baseball bat or even the hatchet. Now, later on, the hatchet will become extremely more powerful, but at the same time, the one thing that is nice about the Combat Knife is the fact that you can just start stabbing at those toes and still get those one-shots. Quite nice, especially against those exploding head volatiles. Now, occasionally there may be some moments where you're going for that belly button, and for whatever reason, with the melee in this game, sometimes it just still registers as a headshot, or maybe there's some type of aim assist with it. I'm not quite sure. So you may be taking some damage in those moments, but at the same time, if you aim low enough, you're going to be able to take them out with that one shot and avoid all that damage and blowback. Now, when it comes to the trade-off between the regular melee and the Combat Knife is going to instantly kill one of these zombies. And with Back for Blood, for whatever reason, as soon as you kill one of those zombies, you know, it just ragdolls, and it pretty much loses its physical matter. It just turns into a translucent or a hologram. You know, it's just an image right there that has nothing that could trip up some of the other zombies or even stumble them back. So anytime you're killing one of those, you got a common infected horde bearing down on you. You think you're going to be able to stab your way through. You know, you may get a good bit of them, but in that same moment, you're not going to be staggering them back. That's going to be the real issue with it. And if you're out in the open, they're going to completely surround you. If you're playing on Nightmare difficulty, you know how quickly one large group of those common infected can bring you down if they surround you. And at the same time, each hit's going to start slowing you down, and not only slowing your movement, but your rotation speed. So with that single target, you're not going to be able to just go through one by one and be able to take out all of them before they take you down. That's one of the nice things of having, or one of the bigger reasons I never use combat knife is because I really enjoy the ability to have that pushback ability from the regular melee in that moment where I've got a large crowd in front of me. You know, I can swing 1 to 3 times, get a couple of them knocked back, and then they'll just domino effect to the rest of them. Give me the breathing room to either reposition, run to a better position, or just start mulching them right there and take the least amount of damage as possible. Now, that's one of those things that I need to explain about with this combat knife build, because even though we are tanky, we've got enough damage resistance, we've got some healing coming back, or quite a bit of healing coming back when it comes to each one of those melee kills. You don't want to catch yourself out in the open. You know, you turn around, you see a large crowd coming your way. You really need to start picking a position to kind of hold down in. Finding one of those choke points or possibly a corner, get a nice little 90-degree radius seeing those zombies. That way you can kind of move pretty quickly between each one, since it is single target and it's not going to be kind of stumbling these guys back. You may take a couple of swings if you're in the corner, but if you find one of those nice little doorways, there's only one entrance coming in, you can swing through that wall on the other side of that doorway. Especially even great for those moments when you've got charred zombies or the volatile that are dropping acid. If you hit them through that side of that doorway, you won't be getting hit by that charred effect from the fire, and you won't be getting hit by that bile getting dropped on the ground. That way, at the same time, you're just able to mulch those guys, pretty much clear up the space in front for any of your DPS back there to take on one of those special infected. But at the same time, we've got enough damage with this to take down those special infected, which you will still be able to hit through that doorway. Sometimes causing some of that stumble chance as well. That way they can't just push their way in like an exploder or something along those lines. Be able to destroy those before they get in and cause damage to the entire team. But that's one of the biggest things about the combat knife that I feel like I need to emphasize on, because I know there's a lot of people out there that just decide that they, I've 500 hours plus into this game, I've met more than a few people when it comes to randoms talking night and day about that combat knife being the #1 card in all of their decks. And I mean, I'm not trying to burst their bubble and ruin their fun, but it may be hurting them a lot more than they think it's actually helping them in certain ways, even if they have Face Your Fears and Battle Lust combined with that. In those moments when you get surrounded, or you're just possibly hyper-focused on that combat knife and just trying to utilize that in order to get that health back, you may just get overwhelmed. You have too much around you, thinking you can, you bite off more than you can chew in some of those moments. So it's something to think about if you're possibly using the combat knife or going forward, trying to throw this into a hybrid deck. A lot of times I just say just strictly go with combat knife in any type of melee deck, but don't throw it into any type of hybrid build, especially for Nightmare. It could be a huge hindrance on you. You're doing better with that regular melee, being able to stumble those guys back and give yourself some breathing room. But that being said, Lou, we're taking quite a bit of time here. Let's jump into the deck real quick. Now, if you'd like to copy and paste this, obviously I'll have it listed down in the description below in order by name. We're starting off with combat knife, obviously getting that in there pretty quickly, trying to get pretty much acclimated with it, trying to use it properly. And since it does have that amplified damage, we're going to be one-shotting any one of those common infected. Now, Meth Head right after that, we're going to need that 40% melee attack speed and that 30% melee stamina efficiency. One ideal cleaner is going to be Holly. Obviously, you're going to want that stamina back on each one of the kills, and at the same time she's going to have that 10% damage resistance. If you wanted to use another cleaner, you'd need to throw in the adrenaline fueled. You definitely want that stamina back per kill, because especially with another card that we've got paired in here, we're going to be eating through that stamina pretty quickly, so you're going to need that coming back for you at certain times, especially with how many times you're going to have to swing with some of those common infected hordes on some of those holdout moments when you're in a corner or possibly just holding down a doorway. You're going to be using it quite fast, and it's going to deplete that stamina fairly quickly. But right after that, we've got Face Your Fears, gain that 2 temporary health whenever we kill a Ridden within 2.5 meters, just giving us more of that sustainability when it comes to a melee build. NUMB right after that, getting that damage resistance up 15% with each one of those temporary health that we'll be gaining from this, giving us a bit more survivability. Now, right after that, we've got Spiky Bits. We're going to gain 20% melee damage. This is going to help us out with that DPS portion, starting to ramp up by this point. Now, in the beginning, Combat Knife's not going to be a special infected killer just yet, but we're starting to ramp up to that position, and we should be able to get it done with the next card coming up. But at the same time, One thing to note about this card is 10% damage resistance while using a melee weapon. We will still want a melee weapon with this, so if you can grab up a machete or any type of melee weapon, just holding that baseball bat, just holding it in your hands, you're going to have that 10% damage resistance, giving us a bit more of that survivability, but at the same time, we don't have to use the melee weapon in order to use that combat knife, so in those moments, we're just utilizing it for the damage resistance and then just using the knife for all the damage that we possibly need. Now, right after that, we've got Berserker. Now, with combat knife, Berserker works out fantastically. I mean, arguably any other melee weapon or any melee DPS build is going to benefit from this greatly, but this is going to make the combat knife, give it that ability to keep swinging faster and faster and just make it to where that single target hit isn't so much of a hindrance to us because we can swing so fast with it. And since it already has a lot of damage in the beginning, by this point, normally you haven't found that upgrade for a melee weapon. So since it's already pretty much like a purple weapon verity, with this, after we kill a couple of those common infected, we can just rush over that special infected and pretty much take them down fairly quickly with all the damage we already have by this point, giving us a bit more movement speed as well. And that melee speed is going to be quite noticeable. You'll see in the gameplay footage coming up. Now, batter up right after that, 40% melee damage and 5 health. By this point, we're special infected ready. We're ready to take down any one of those special infected. You know, I was just kind of messing around when I started running up on one of these special infected, just trying to see how good the combat knife was at this point against Tallboy itself. Ran up on it, and man, it's quite surprising how quickly it dropped. I'm still kind of surprised by it. Combat knife definitely does have quite a bit of damage, especially once you've amped it up with even more melee damage and you get the berserk stacks on top of that. It's going to be shredding through them fairly quickly. And one of the funnier parts is crushers will be way too easy. You can pretty much just dance circles around them, keep stabbing down in that center point, and they're going to be just they're going to be nothing to you. I mean, you could pretty much just draw them away from the enemies or draw them away from your teammates and just take them out as quick as possible. Now, you may still be taking some damage from the tall boy if he starts that swing down, but at the same time, with how quick you'll be able to take it down, if you catch him in that moment when he just swung down and he's got that arm on the ground, you'll more than likely be able to take him down before he's got that next swing up. Now, right after that, we've got Vanguard getting those melee kills, granting us an additional temporary health, but not only for ourselves, for the team as well. This is going to be a huge help. Now, at the same time, this may not be the most necessary thing, but at the same time, it's something that could benefit the team. It's one of those stacks that you could arguably just throw an adrenaline fueled here if you didn't really need to throw this one in for the entire team. If everybody's running the amped up card, more than likely it's not going to be that huge a benefit for you, especially on those horde moments. They're more than likely going to be stacked out with that temporary health already, but it could be something that could maintain and sustain that temporary health going forward, which could be something that increases your survivability odds going forward. But right after that, we've got Battle Lust, getting those melee kills, gaining that 2 permanent health, which is going to be a huge help for us, especially later on with a couple of other cards. But at the same time, just since we've got so much of that temporary health gain from this build, it's just going to maintain the maximum amount of life we can possibly have and give us that ability to reduce the amount of trauma we may take in some of those moments where, or give us a bit more survivability in some of those moments when we may just be surviving off of flat out temporary health. So that way the temporary health will sustain us for the time, but along the way we'll be able to stack up that health and not need as much healing from the healer inside of our group. But right after that, we've got Motorcycle Helmet giving us that damage resistance. By this point, we've got more than enough damage resistance to pretty much take on anything. We're going to have sustainability with this that is quite unreal. If you've used NUMB with the spiky bits and Motorcycle Helmet, arguably it's all you really need. Stacking any more than this, I mean, especially if you're playing as Holly, you're going to be the ultimate tank in that moment, but you're going to be eating away at some of those other cards that could be more beneficial for you. But right after that, we're going to go for the ultimate tank moment. This is where we become that ultimate face tanking against any one of those special infected, even the spitters. The spitters, I swear. I hate them, good lord. But whenever we take a hit for 15 or more damage, we gain another 25% damage resistance for 3 seconds. This is going to be perfect for those moments when we're going to be face-checking tall boys, or possibly in one of those moments where we're taking on a crowd of common infected. Next thing you know, a spitter hits us, in that moment, you know, you may be slowed down, and we've all seen those spitters just light you up like it's in MG42. They just keep spitting away. But we'll be we'll be able to have enough damage resistance by this point to be able to survive and take some of those hits to where it doesn't just destroy our health all the way down to incapacitated. If you've been through Nightmare, you know how quick some of those spitters can just drop somebody or drop the entire team. Let's be real. It's quite unbelievable. But at the same time, you can utilize this 25% damage resistance against those tall boys as well. Taking one of those hits, we all know how quickly that next hit could be. So say that first hit, you know, pushes you back far enough to where you couldn't get back quick enough to start stabbing away with that combat knife. At least that second hit isn't something that's going to be completely dropping you in that moment. You're going to have more than enough damage resistance by this point to at least take 3 to possibly 4 if you had full health when it comes to taking on this tall boy. And it will give you the ability to kind of tank against an ogre. You'll be able to take at least 3 stomps from him before going down, which is kind of crazy considering a lot of times, you know, you get stepped on by that ogre one time. I mean, if he even just so much as has a wild hair brush you after that point, you're just dropping dead. So having the ability to really tank some hits from an ogre or just a meatball from the ogre, going to be a huge help in some of those moments, especially when you're not going to be the main guy hitting up on that ogre. You're going to kind of pretty much be useless by that point, just taking on any of the special infected or common infected that may be around, letting the DPS take care of that ogre. Now, right after that, we've got rhythmic breathing, just further increasing the amount of stamina we have. Now, with Holly, we're going to have more than enough stamina before this point, but if you feel like you need more stamina in the beginning, you could throw this card up a bit higher. But the real reason I threw this card into the deck is the simple fact that we want to go for canned goods. We want to further increase that health, especially towards the end. You know, there's more special infected. We're taking on a lot more common infected. There may be more moments where we're hitting some of those hordes coming in. So we're going to need the ability to take a little bit more damage, especially in those moments where it could be a random horde. The corruption card's giving you on your heels or something. There's a constant horde coming in. Maybe it just catches you off guard. You weren't watching that timer. You get surrounded. Having that additional health could mean the difference between getting out of that, taking out all the enemies in front of you, and just sustaining life going forward. But right after that, we've got Slugger gaining that 5 health and 10% to that melee stamina efficiency and 20% melee attack speed. It's one of those cards that I just kind of dropped in there at the end. You know, when it comes to the last 3 cards, or possibly just the last 2 cards, it's always kind of a toss-up in my head. You know, what's really just going to be the nice little cherry toppers, you know, the stuff that's just not exactly the most essential, but going to still be extremely beneficial for us, and Slugger's definitely one of those, just giving us more health and more stamina efficiency for those moments when things get a bit more hectic towards the end. And right after that, Cross Trainer's just giving us even more stamina regen, a little bit of that move speed, and 5 health. You know, another one of those moments where you could possibly throw this one above the rhythmic breathing. You could just have Slugger as the last card and canned goods on that second to last card. Throw this one up a bit higher, just to have that smaller benefit to the move speed and stamina. But with Berserker and Holly's ability to gain stamina back per kill, more than likely you're going to be just fine, especially while I was testing this. And like I said before, if you're looking to play this on Evangela, you know, a lot of people are Holly hogs out here. Trust me, I've run into it more than a few times. So if you're stuck with Evangelo or somebody else trying to utilize this type of melee build, you're definitely going to want to probably throw out Cross Trainers and throw in Adrenaline Fueled, especially if if somebody's already playing Holly, you're getting 25 stamina straight off the bat. That could be a huge benefit to you, but you could throw that one out or just throw out the Vanguard. All up to your personal preference, in my opinion. But at the same time, you know, none of this is finite in detail. You know, me personally, this is the order I prefer it in, but by all means, rearrange it in any order that seems fitting to your playstyle. Now, that's going to be the Combat Knife build. Like I said before, not the hugest fan of the Combat Knife, but I definitely had a lot of fun with this. It is quite overpowered. It's tanky. It's DPS. And with this build, you could just throw out Combat Knife if you're looking for something that's a nice melee DPS tank build. This one is going to work for one of those moments where you could utilize the Fire Axe with this. Now, if you were going for that Fire Axe route and you wanted to go full-on DPS with that maximum DPS, you know, that Fire Axe is hidden. You would want to take out that Combat Knife and throw Adrenaline Fueled right there at the beginning. Guarantee you it's going to be a huge help for you, or you could throw it in right after Spiky Bits. I'd say that might be a better position at the same time, considering you're not going to find that fire axe for a couple of missions. You know, may get lucky in the very first one finding that gray fire axe, but a lot of times, you know, if you're trying to bet on finding that somewhere, you're more than likely stuck with a machete or something else, which would be the ideal weapon before that going forward. But that being said, guys, that's going to be the combat knife build. If you're looking for other people to play some Back for Blood with, you're looking for people that are a bit more knowledgeable at the game, have some solid decks with them, you know, you're tired of randoms, hit that Discord link down in the description. Got more than a few people over there. Communicate with them and possibly hit me up. Best way to keep in contact with me as well. Definitely down to help some people run through Nightmare in the coming days before we got that Elden Ring coming out. Going to be jumping on that. But at the same time, if you'd like to catch some of this action live, hit the link down in the description. Follow me over at Twitch. Pretty much losing my voice by this point. But hit that over there. I'll be streaming daily now. Probably also need to address the elephant in the room. You may notice I look a bit different. You know, coming at you in the flesh right now instead of the bone. Well, you know, Reaper's had some poor luck, you might say, in the past couple of days where, you know, you kind of have a backup situation when it comes to flushing the toilet. You know, some things start popping up in drains somewhere around the house, and things they shouldn't be. You know, they should be just flushing down into wherever they go. But needless to say, as soon as, you know, we had this problem looked into, now don't have a shower. You know, we had some water damage. Whole bathroom got ripped out. So for the time being, you know, we can't keep the bones clean. So we'll have to be coming in the flesh for the next, not sure how long, but this is how it'll be for the future to come for right now. But the bones will return. Don't worry. We'll have it returning at some point. And more than likely, there'll be a few moments where, especially with Elden Ring coming up, where we'll have the bones out. We'll do our best to clean it right after in that moment in the sink or wherever we can. But, you know, having to drive a round trip of 40 minutes, you know, just driving to take a shower, it's very frustrating, to say the least. Felt like I need to address that. More than likely, some of you may, you know, before you start making comments down below, well, where's Reaper? You know, he's still here. He's still here. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this. Hope this helped you out. Maybe gave you a bit more knowledge when it came down to the combat knife. And hope you have a good one.
So what?
Is it gone now? Wiggins? Did you grab something?
Yeah, I was thinking there was a, whoops.
Oh, what? M19?
It was not, yeah, it was 1911, but someone grabbed it. My bad.
Yeah, that was me. I had a gray pistol.
Yeah, this isn't spooky at all.
Bird's right.
Oh. My God.
Keep your distance, Andy.
I didn't realize that Doc's field dressings now trigger experienced EMT. That's interesting.
About time they did that.
It worked on wind just now, so.
Nah, who's the idiot in that last video I made? It works now.
Yeah, better late than never. You need SMG? I got some.
More up here, too.
That's
Oh,
right.
somebody dropped sniper. I'm only at a total of 30 shots left. Thank you. I'm topped off.
I'm good on rifle. Thank you.
You're kidding me.
What the hell? There we go. That was odd. Like I've been hit by sleepers through gates. I've never been grabbed by a crusher through a gate.
I mean, there's
That's a
clearly
door.
a wall right here. That Bat Meaty Club can't make it through that.
All right. Oh yeah.
All right, so we're gonna have to do this. Everybody in.
Did that hurt? Come on, come on.
Anybody need healing with a bandage?
Is a negative.
Nothing like a stroll down by the river.
Oh god.
Reloading. Shit. Finally got it. Jeez. All my shots were weak spots too. I'm moving into the house. Oh, never mind. I got them all on me.
No way.
I am so sorry.
At least I was able to kite my own horde. That was good.
Barely simple.
Alright.
It's like this combat knife feels a little bit overpowered, but I don't think it is.
Oh god, I lagged. What the fuck?
Spitter.
He was to my left, so I was running past, and then all of a sudden he
Got a blue
lagged to my right.
UMP in here. It's got some broken attachments, but
Those can easily come off.
Yeah, if they'd add a card in.
In the vehicle.
Well, no, those can come off with finding something, but yeah.
That's a healing station.
Here for the conversation.
Okay, that's a problem.
Yep. Definitely.
That's an even bigger problem. Okay, I can't tell whether or not I
What the
actually killed that by
How did I hit
myself.
you?
Okay, I did
When I
kill
hit the
that one by
stinger.
myself. This is kind of ridiculous. You can't be serious. I'm not even fully stacked out for DPS with melee, and you're telling me it just took down a tall boy like that?
With what, a combat knife?
Yeah,
Yeah, no. Combat knife's insane.
dumb.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Good God, what have they done? Oh God.
Covered in this shit.
Okay, yep. There had to be something to stop me.
Got ya. Okay.
now I could use some rifle if anybody's got some.
Sure, I'm in this building. I got 241 here for you. Just wait for the acid.
Thank you.
Get some free cards. Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, that's kind of how my melee builds go. It's like, nope, I have to start with the combat knife.
Unreal.
It's comparable to a blue or purple hatchet just right off the bat. It's beautiful.
What were they thinking when they put this in? Broken.
Wow. Has anybody found the toolkit room yet?
I don't even know what this is. Ammo here.
No,
Like
not
ammo?
really.
It's either in there or in here. It's not in this one. But there is an ammo crate.
Need to reload.
And a blue fire axe.
Blue fire axe, you say?
I
found
knew
it.
that'd be tempting.
New earrings.
Alright, Horde in 10. Oh, toolkit room right in the next room. Or next building. Alright.
Mine now.
What the?
Yeah, I cannot move around that one. Not in the water. Oh god.
I'm so fucked.
You're fine.
Oh, cool. My hip fire shot got him right in the weak spot. Whew.
I'll be in the tub.
Yeah, good idea. Let's wash off. Wash that freaking acid off.
Since I don't have one of my own.
I got you, I got you, I got you.
Sorry, I may have caught you with my Belgian.
Oh, I felt it.
That's fine. I know what that feel is like. I've been running Belgian all freaking day.
Closer than I would have liked.
Need to take care of this.
Guys, mind if I grab that charge?
Nope, I don't. There's another toolkit room over there.
Do we have another tool?
I always forget this level has 2 toolkit rooms. If only we had another toolkit.
I'm not seeing anything in here.
Alright, then I guess let's just move.
Sight.
Oh, a sight? Oh, I freaking need that.
Yep, all the way back here.
I'm screwed over here. May as well let me go down and just... Oh, okay.
Oh, I
We're
got you.
gonna get over here. Oh, never mind.
That's alright, I'll just kill a can out here.
Hold on.
I'll come get you.
What?
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, maybe not.
Where did the ogre come from?
I have no idea.
Watching my back. Don't need to be watching yours.
Get in.
Yep, precisely
Wait,
one
are
of the
you-
moments
are
where
you
I'm
clear?
like, yeah,
Oh,
combat
shit.
knife sucks.
Almost. Yeah, now I am.
Get in, get in, get in. Just get in one of the rooms. I missed that shot on the crusher.
Precisely.
Crusher.
I'm down.
Thank you. I'll get Reaper.
Just cold. On the ground.
Anyone? We need some help here.
Getting hard to see over here. Darkness is creeping in.
No, 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 I got it. I got it, I got it.
Glad you make house calls.
Got the crusher.
Alright, we should be good.
Checking the vehicle. What's that?
Mid boss isn't defeated.
Nope. We have a horde in 10. Should we just get into the safe room and fight it out there? Funnel it?
May as well.
Might
Alright,
as well.
I'm getting over here.
They're hungry.
Fucking meatball.
Keep up. Excuse me. Oh, okay. Let's do this. Timing is everything. This is not
Wiggins, do not move right.
Everyone's still in one piece.
Sorry, I had to there.
No, that was fine. I was pulling back the hammer on the Phoenix, so you were good there. Watch out.
You want me to come back and hold your hand for you?
It's only one way to know. Okay, it really hurts. Not gonna lie. I did my best, boys.
Or is it me?
Melee still doesn't work against him.
Oh no.
He said I should give it another try. Roger that. Get him! That's
Down on
right.
the left.
Oh. Okay. It only hurt a little.
Just a little bit.
Oh my god.
Sucks.
Oh god.
Ow. Almost dead. There we go.
Whew. There we're good.
I was gonna say if you were gonna keep slashing, I was gonna say Reaper, this ain't Monster Hunter. You can't collect anything.
I'm looking for a little trophy. Nice Ford Hope over the fireplace that we have. Ah, yes.